In this learning module, we will be talking about intersectionality. By the time you complete this video, you will be able to define intersectionality, why it is important, and how it is applied to the field of women's studies, particularly as it pertains to the understanding of the evolution of feminist thought. Kimberly Crenshaw is the foremost scholar in intersectionality. In her work, Margins, Intersectionality, Identity Politics, and Violence Against Women of Color, she begins to discuss the importance of understanding that we all occupy multiple social locations. Therefore, our identities cannot be reduced to simply one category. In other words, you are not just black or a woman, but instead a mixture of privileged and subjugated identities. Moreover, intersectionality suggests that oppressions are not additive. Put differently, an African American woman is not simply twice as oppressed as a white woman. There's more nuance to the story than that. Intersectionality comes from critical race theory, and its insights help us make sense of the complexity of social identity categories and systems of oppression by thinking of them as interlocking. You do not stack identities, but rather think of them as being fluid. Now that we've talked about what intersectionality is and where it comes from, let's now have a discussion about how intersectionality works. Intersectionality teaches us that systems of domination are interlocking and that all privileges are not equal to one another. Understanding this truth helps us to understand social justice issues in more complex ways. Intersectionality also encourages us to respect and celebrate the level of diversity. A little historical context will help us understand intersectionality more fully. Intersectionality is a response to the ideas and controversies resulting in the first and second wave of feminism in the United States. The first wave movement focused on structural issues such as suffrage. The second wave, however, included structural and cultural change. Some of these issues covered in the second wave include, but are not limited to, abortion, birth control, sexual liberation, workforce professional equality, equality in education, equality in marriage roles, and welfare rights. All of these topics were originally discussed as we think to white middle-class women. Intersectionality helps us to understand that power and oppression is defined, understood, and experienced differently, depending on how you identify yourself. Given its theoretical richness, intersectionality has the potential to push us towards positive social change. For example, understanding the complexity of our social locations, the oppressions and privileges that come with these social locations can help us appreciate the intersectionality in others. It can also help us build coalitions with different groups, come from different backgrounds, but want to fight for the same cause. So if we think about social justice issues, such as equal pay, the intersections of race, cultural background, class, gender, all these groups may come together in order to create better lived experiences for people and help them empower them so that they can gain more access to jobs in our society.